Today, we're going to talk about your potential late-game speed queen, Doki Doki. And she's got this reputation, high ratings, T.5 across like everything, PVE, Aurora, Terramaton, Union Boss, even PvP. Definitely a top-tier support.
That broad usefulness is a big signal right away. She's not just a niche pick.
Right. But here's the brutal truth some players found out, especially early on. Getting her tuned up, particularly with speed, it can feel like a real chore.
Oh yeah, that initial hurdle is definitely a thing. You hear Speed Queen, but then struggle to make her feel fast enough right out of the box.
So let's start with her core mechanic, the thing that makes Doki Doki. Doki Doki, that's the data stream buff, right?
Exactly. That's her main supportive tool. She's constantly applying this data stream to allies.
And what does it actually do? Each stack gives, what was it?
Each stack gives 2.5% increased damage dealt and a flat 2.5 points of speed.
Okay, flat speed, that's interesting. And damage. And it stacks.
It stacks, yeah, up to 12 times. So fully stacked, you're looking at 30% extra damage and 30 flat speed, which is massive.
30 flat speed, that's huge, especially because flat speed stacks additively after percentage bonuses, right?
Precisely. And maybe the most important part, this data stream buff, it cannot be dispelled. Once it's on, it stays on for its duration.
Wow, okay, no dispelling.
I know.
That's incredibly valuable in longer fights where enemies might try to strip your buffs.
And she applies it frequently. All her skills kind of weave in applying these stacks, so managing them, keeping her uptime, that's central to playing her.
Got it. So let's look at the skills that apply it. Skill 1 is pseudocode.
Yep, pseudocode, it's her basic attack, deals single target damage, but the real meat of it is the backup mechanic it enables.
Right, backup. How does that work again? Using skill 1 gives her stack.
At max level, yeah. It's a 100% chance to gain 1 stack of backup. She holds onto these stacks, up to 6 of them. And like data stream, backup can't be dispelled from her.
Okay, so she builds up backup stacks. What do they do?
It's a reactive cleanse. So before an ally who has a debuff takes their turn, Doki Doki checks if she has backup. If she does, she uses 1 stack to instantly purify, like remove, up to 3 debuffs from that ally. And then she also applies 1 stack of data stream to them.
Oh, interesting. So skill 1 fuels this passive reactive cleansing and buffing system whenever your team gets hit with debuffs. Very cool.
Exactly. It's a neat little defensive layer she provides passively.
Okay, moving on to skill 2. Full overwrite. This sounds like it messes with cooldowns.
It does, big time. Full overwrite is all about getting your ally's skills ready faster. Its main job is reducing an allied animus's skill cooldown by 1 turn.
Just 1 ally.
Well, it targets 1 ally, but it does this 5 times consecutively when you use the skill.
5 times. Wow. How does it pick who gets the cooldown reduction?
Each of those 5 times, it smartly targets the ally who currently has the highest total skill CD. So it's always helping the person whose big skills are furthest away.
That's really smart targeting, and I assume it applies data stream too.
You bet. Each time it reduces a cooldown by 1 turn, it also slaps a stack of data stream onto that targeted ally. So one use of skill 2 can mean up to 5 data stream stacks spread around plus massive CD reduction. Its own cooldown is 5 turns though.
Okay, 5 stacks potential, big CD reduction. Powerful stuff. Now, skill 3, temporal leap. This sounds like the speed manipulation core.
It's the engine, yeah. Temporal leap increases an allied animus's turn meter by 15%.
Turn meter. So making them take their turn faster.
Exactly. And again, like skill 2, it does this multiple times. 8 times, actually.
8 times. 15% each time. That's a lot of turn meter, potentially. 120% total.
Yep, spread across the team. And the targeting is different from skill 2. Each 15% TM boost targets the ally with the lowest current turn meter.
Lowest. Okay, so it's not just pushing the fastest faster, it's pulling the slower ones up.
Exactly. It helps prevent anyone from falling too far behind in the turn order. It kind of pulls the whole team along together, helps cycle everyone more consistently.
That makes a lot of sense for sustained fights. And let me guess, data stream stacks.
8 of them. 1 stack for each 15% TM boost applied to whoever it targets. So skill 3 is just raining data stream stacks while manipulating the turn order.
And there's more to skill 3, isn't there? Something about backup.
Right. Using skill 3 also instantly gives Doki Doki 5 stacks of backup herself at max level, so it fully recharges her reactive cleanse fuel right after using her big turn manipulation skill.
Okay, so S3 gives TM boosts, data stream stacks, and refills her cleanse resource. That's packed.
Yeah.
What's the cooldown?
It's 4 turns base, but it goes down to just 3 turns at max level. Very spammable for such a powerful effect.
Wow. Okay, so putting this all together, she's constantly buffing with undispellable speed and damage, cleansing reactively, speeding up ally cooldowns, and directly manipulating turn order. It's a lot.
It really is. And you can see why she's considered a generalist support. Those buffs and utilities are pretty much always good.
So her strengths are clear.
Yeah.
The cleansing, the amazing data stream buffs, especially that flat speed stacking, and she must work really well with characters who like getting lots of buffs or turns, like Chiara, who was mentioned.
Definitely. But this brings us right back to that early point, that brutal truth, the ramp-up time.
Right, because all this power comes from repeatedly using her skills, stacking those buffs over time.
Yeah.
She's not instant impact.
Exactly. She is not your go-to support for speedrun comps or super short fights. If you need to win in turn 1 or 2, like in some PVE one-shot teams or hyper aggro PvP.
You'd want someone with more front-loaded buffs, maybe a big, immediate team-wide turn meter boost or something.
Precisely. DokiDoki needs time to cook. She needs turns to pass, so she can stack data stream and start controlling the tempo with her S3 and S2 cycles.
So where does she excel then? Longer fights?
That's her domain. Think union bosses that take dozens of turns. Phantom theater stages where survival and consistency matter. Or those grindy, bruiser-style PvP matches where outvaluing the opponent over time is the win condition.
Her value just keeps increasing the longer the fight goes on.
Exponentially, yeah. As those data stream stacks pile up and her turn CD manipulation really takes hold.
Which means when you use her, you need to build the team around that idea too. You can't just slot her into a glass cannon team expecting miracles.
Right. The team needs to be able to survive the opening rounds, give her the space she needs to start snowballing the fight in your favor. The speed tuning isn't just about her speed, it's about the whole team's rhythm and sustain.
Okay, this leads perfectly into building her. How do we actually gear her up? What stats matter most? You mentioned speed tuning.
Speed. SPD is absolutely paramount for Doki Doki. Her whole kit is about using skills often. More speed means more turns, more skill use is faster stacking, faster cycling for everyone.
So pump speed as high as possible. Or is there a target?
You want to hit a target speed that makes sense for your team and the content. Enough so she's taking frequent turns relative to everyone else. It's not necessarily stack infinite speed, but get her fast.
Okay, fast first. Then what? After speed.
Survivability. She needs to stick around for those long fights. So after you hit your speed goal, you pour stats into HP % and DEF %. Keep her alive so she can keep doing her job.
So the substat priority would be something like SPD until you're happy, then HP %, then maybe flat HP, DEF %, flat D, and a bit of effect RES.
That sounds about right, yeah. SPD, HP %, flat HP, DEF, DDF effect, RES %. Get her fast, then make her tanky.
And for main stats on the gear pieces, slot 1, 2, 3.
Slot 1, definitely HP % for survival. Slot 2 is pretty much always going to be SPD. That's your biggest single source of speed.
Non-negotiable on slot 2, okay? And slot 3?
Slot 3, you'll typically want either HP % or DEF % again, just stacking more bulk. Though, early on, if you get a high rarity piece with flat HP or flat DEF, that can work temporarily while you farm for the ideal percentages.
Makes sense. Prioritize the set bonuses and substats too.
Yeah.
Okay, what about shells? Those unique equipment pieces. What works best on Doki Doki?
The top recommendation, especially for those long PvE fights she loves, is Jackal Guard.
Jackal Guard. Remind me, follow-up, speed buff, turn meter boost.
That's the one. It triggers a follow-up, gives the wearer SPD plus for 3 turns, and a nice 25% turn meter boost right away.
That sounds perfect for her. Helps her cycle even faster.
It really is. The immediate TM boost helps her get going, the speed buff stacks nicely, and it just supports her game plan of taking lots of turns. It's the standard pick for her in endurance content.
Does it lose value if you already have, say, another support giving a team-wide speed buff? Is the SPD Plus part redundant then?
A little bit, maybe. The SPD Plus itself might overlap, but Jackal Guard also has the Time Weave Matrix effect built in.
Oh, right, the chance to reduce ally cooldowns.
Exactly. So even if the speed buff isn't strictly necessary, that potential cooldown reduction from the Matrix keeps Jackal Guard incredibly valuable for Doki Doki in long fights, synergizing perfectly with her S2.
Gotcha. So Jackal Guard is still top tier usually. What's the main alternative if you're doing something different, maybe shorter fights?
The main alternative mentioned is Codex of Magic.
Codex.
Yeah.
That's the next skill cost no CD one, right?
Yeah.
And a small speed boost.
Yep, exactly. Next skill has its cooldown reset plus a 10% SPD boost for 2 turns. You use this less for Doki Doki's own cycling and more to enable another ally to do something crazy, like using their ultimate twice in a row.
Ah, okay. So it's for enabling burst plays on someone else, more for PvE, one-shot teams, or specific PvP combos.
Pretty much. It shifts her role slightly from sustained enabler to specific combo piece initiator. It's the alternative when Jackal Guard's long-term value isn't the primary goal.
Any other niche shells worth mentioning? Maybe for PvP.
Briefly, yeah. Amber for a cheat death, which can be clutch. Alicorn for more cleansing and effect RES against debuff-heavy teams. Gigabyte gives turn meter when enemies act, good against swarm enemies. And Lighthouse provides sustain and TM gain when hit hard. More situational picks.
Okay, clear options there. Now, module sets. These are super important for stats and bonuses. What's the play for Doki?
Modules are definitely key. The absolute standard for supports, including often Doki Doki, is Swift Rush.
The speed set. Massive speed boost, right? Plus 35% at 12 pieces.
Correct. Plus 35% at 12p, plus 20% at 8p. More speed, more turns, faster ramp. It's the baseline for making her fast.
But is it always the best? You mentioned Time Weave earlier, too.
Right. Time Weave is a really interesting, potent specialist option. At 12 pieces, it gives some effect accuracy, which she doesn't really need, but the big prize is the 35% chance at the start of her turn to reduce all ally skill cooldowns by 1 turn.
Whoa! A 35% chance every turn she takes to give everyone -1 CD? That sounds amazing for team cycling, especially with her S2 already helping.
It is incredibly powerful for that, especially valuable, like early or mid-game when base cooldowns are still quite long before you max skills out. It accelerates the whole team's ability usage significantly.
So how do people usually build that? Do they go full 12p Time Weave and sacrifice the Swift Rush speed?
The common, really effective strategy, especially for longer PvE, is actually to combine them. You run 12-piece Time Weave to get that crucial CD reduction proc, and combine them with 8-piece Swift Rush for a still very solid plus 20% speed boost. Then you fill the last slot with a 6-piece set, often Swift Smite, for another plus 15% speed and some effect accuracy.
Ah, okay. So you trade the absolute maximum speed from 12p Swift Rush for the huge cycling potential of 12p Time Weave, but still keep a good chunk of speed from 8p Swift Rush. That's clever.
It's a popular and powerful setup for her in endurance content. You're betting that faster skill access for the whole team via Time Weave procs is ultimately better than just maximizing Doki Doki's personal speed, especially since AP Swift Rush still makes her quite fast.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other module sets mentioned?
Bloodbath for anti-burst defense in PvP, Bulwark for starting immunity against control in PvP, and Swift Smite as that common 6-piece filler. But Swift Rush and Time Weave are the main considerations for her core build.
Okay, gear, modules. What about skill leveling? Where should players invest their resources first?
The recommendation is pretty straightforward. Max out skill 3 first, get that to level 5, then focus on skill 2 to level 5, and finally, bring skill 1 up to level 5.
S3, S2, S1. That lines up perfectly with what seems most impactful. Skill 3 is our main engine for TM, data stream, and backup fuel.
Exactly. You want that core cycling and buffing engine running at peak efficiency, ASAP. Then Skill 2 for the vital ally CD reduction. Skill 1's passive cleanse is good, but less central to her overall momentum generation than S3 and S2.
It really paints a picture of her priorities, enabling herself and her team to take more turns and use skills more often. It all feeds back into that sustained cycling playstyle.
Precisely. The skill order reflects her core function.
Do the materials give any specific team examples, like who does she pair well with in practice?
Yeah, there were a couple of Aurora teams listed. Let's see. Team 1 was Doki Doki as support, Linglo for sustain, Obel for debuffs, Heinrich as a debuff DPS hybrid, and then Sanya Vengeful Thorn as the main DPS.
Okay, standard roles there. What was the second team?
The second one was Doki Doki support again, Linglo sustain again, but then Beyontin as another support, Heinrich again, and Shiata as the DPS.
Shiata, yeah, she was mentioned earlier as someone who benefits a lot from Doki's buffs. It's interesting, though, that the deeper synergies within those specific teams weren't fully detailed.
True. These are more like, here are compositions where she works well, rather than a deep dive into why every piece fits perfectly. You'd likely need to look at guides for those specific team archetypes, or just experiment yourself to understand the finer points of interaction.
Gotcha. Okay, let's try and wrap this up then. A summary of Doki Doki, Truth Mimetic.
Right. She's a top-tier SSR constant support from Doki Entertainment, highly valued pretty much everywhere.